Good morning to all of us, and we are going to start now to discuss about the extemporaneous speech. So, throughout our presentation, we are going to have this content, the meaning of extemporaneous speech, the purpose of extemporaneous speech, the advantage and disadvantage, the steps on how to create and deliver, an example of extemporaneous speech, and other information and trivia about extempore speech. Okay, so let's start with what is the meaning of extempore speech? The word extemporaneous means without planning and is considered a synonym for the word impromptu. However, an extemporaneous speech is actually a well-prepared speech that relies on research, clear organization, and practice delivery. It is neither read nor memorized, so it is never delivered exactly the same way. Extemporaneous speeches are developed through outlining ideas and not writing them out word for word. By using notes rather than a full manuscript, the extemporaneous speaker can establish and maintain eye-to-eye contact with the audience and assess how well they are understanding the speech as it progresses. So extemporaneous speech means the difference pala ng extempo to impromptu is extempo, it has a preparation while impromptu has not. And extempo uses manuscript, no? So it can like hindi naman siya full na word by word na sinusulat pero meron na rin yon yung mga ideas throughout yung speech niya.
So we have our purpose of extemporaneous speech. The purpose of this event is to encourage students to read widely on current public affairs and to train them to apply principles of speech composition on a selected timely topic in a limited period of time and to deliver the speech from those with fluency and effectiveness. So, what is the purpose of extemporaneous delivery in speech? It gives freshness for it doesn't sound canned and over-rehearsed. Additionally, this flexible form of delivery allows a speaker to make adjustment to their speech in response to nonverbal signals from the audience, signs of confusion, displeasure, curiosity, and excitement.
Good morning, everyone. I was assigned to tackle on the advantages of extemporaneous speech. The use of extemporaneous speech provides many advantages. Most of the speakers consider this kind of speech the ideal method because of the following. First, they make them natural in delivering their speech. This keeps the audience attentive and interested in the topic. In other words, there would be an eye contact between the speaker and the audience. Since it is not read or memorized, instead, they can use an outline that would guide the speaker. Another example is that extemporaneous speaking allows flexibility. For example, when the speaker notices that his audience is not interested to their speech, they can adjust his delivery to suit the listeners. While delivering the speech, the speaker can take signs from the reactions of the listener and use these feedbacks to change the style of delivery for maximum audience engagement. Another thing is that they may consider adding short stories that are relevant to the topic. So, the last speaker can use examples or stories and even quotes mentioned by the previous speaker. Those are some advantages of extemporaneous speech. Other advantages will be discussed by Sir Felipe. Thank you and good day.
Adding to the advantages of extemporaneous speech is the following. It allows the speaker to be able to control the audience by adjusting the way the speaker delivers the speech, and it makes it entertaining in order to keep the attention drawn to them. For extemporaneous speeches, sometimes the importance for your message or speech to be delivered to the mass audience is to be able to gather their attention, maybe by being entertaining or just eye-catching to them. It helps the speaker also to have a more intellectual image to the audience as they're not reading from a script. And added to that is the natural flow of words, which make the speech more interactive to the audience mind, in which it then brings more confidence to the speaker, allowing him or her to deliver the speech more fluently.
For the disadvantages, the first one is that rarely get to practice. If you rarely get to practice, you will be lack of confidence and wouldn't be able to deliver the speech effectively. A lack of confidence and nervousness is many people find comfort and ease when delivering a memorized speech or a speech that read out word for word. But because an extemporaneous speech does not have a manuscript to follow, speakers could become the victim of nervous paralysis. A speaker who isn't used to confronting a large audience may climb up on stage, forgetting points and failing to engage the audience in a way that properly, effectively, and appropriately communicates ideas. A lot of people who have public speaking nervousness issues might not be best suited for extemporaneous speeches, especially that this type of speech requires a fluid train of thoughts and an ability to handle a speaking event with minimal preparation. The third one is the messy and unorganized. Someone who doesn't have the skills and abilities necessary to deliver an extemporaneous speech might have difficulty weaving words together in a logical and organized manner. A speaker will have to deliver the discussion based on their own thoughts. Missing out on certain ideas and remembering them later on will require the speaker to inject these ideas in parts of speech where they might no longer be appropriate, making a very messy and often unorganized delivery. This can also cause for a listener to be confused. And the last one is that prone to forgetfulness. Because extemporaneous speeches only allow speakers to have an outline of their discussion, the detailed points per topic will have to come from the mind of the speaker. This means thoughts and ideas are communicated as they come, which can also work against the speaker if they are likely to forget.
Tips on how to prepare an extemporaneous speech. There are a lot of tips in preparing extemporaneous speech, but we compiled 10 out of it. Let's start with the tip number 1. It says here, start with a good summation. Meaning, set up your extemporaneous speech to start with a good thesis statement of what your speech are going to talk about, so that it can easily grab the attention of your audience. Tip number 2, develop between 3 to 5 main points. Make sure each point has a single, clear, and self-contained idea. Tip number 3, make sure that each one is related to your main statement. This will remind the audience what your keynote point is. Tip number 4, make sure every point leads smoothly and sensibly into the next one. No non-sequiturs. No non-sequitur means a thought that does not logically follow what has just been said or discussed in the speech. Tip number 5, subpoints must contain new information or details not stated in the main points. Why is that your subtopics must be detailed? The answer is because your subpoint's job is to describe, explain, or otherwise support your main points. Tip number 6, for the conclusion, don't just summarize. Meaning, don't just summarize but also analyze and provide a judgment on each conclusion. Tip number 7, come back to the introduction and reinforce your thesis statement. By the sense of connecting the interests and needs of the audience to the theme, then go back over the major points of your speech and finishing up neatly. Tip number 8, stick to using simple words. What does this mean? Meaning, don't try to impress with complex topics for an extemporaneous speech. There is a bigger chance that you will end up stumbling over them or that you need will fall flat. Tip number 10, do not go on and on, though, or stop dead. Meaning, just go right to what you need to say by concluding, restating, smile, and just stick to that, and voila, you are done. And now let us move on to tips on how to deliver an extemporaneous speech. First is the time management. The right time management is crucial in performing extemporaneous speech, which is true. You need to divide your time to organize your technique on how to properly deliver your speech. So below are 3 examples of time management. Find out which is one is the best for you. If you are allowed to use note cards, then the memorized part can be shorter in time, of course. Next, delivery. Do not be boring with monotonous and facts and phlegmatic attitude. Add some funny extemporaneous speech topics in your presentation. It means talk easy in a normal tempo. Do not talk fast. Do not speak like a talking puppet in a suit. Move a little bit. Use the proper gestures to emphasize your main points. And last to the tips on how to deliver an extemporaneous speech is composing handy tabs. So here are the 6 steps in composing handy tabs that we can also get a tip in preparing our extemporaneous speech ahead of time. First in the list is analyze and study current events in magazine and newspapers. Okay, by analyzing and studying current events, the speaker can immediately sort out the headlines, the pros and cons, reason, statistics, and sources. Next is the research on the internet. Number 3 step, watch interesting television documentaries. During as a speaker is watching, he or she must note the facts and the conclusion that could be extracted. Fourth step, ask experienced competitors how they prepare for public speaking. Of course, by observing how they practice and perform on stage and learn their educational discourse tricks. 5. Organize and update your files. Okay, in a way you can find your written notes quick and easy. For instance, organize, pick 4 or 5 general extemporaneous speech topics in hanging folders and place within those general tabulation lots of subsequences categorized from A to Z. Last is the number 6. Use a reference book. It can be a dictionary, a small encyclopedia, etc. to refill and fresh and creative ideas. That's all. Thank you.
So, good morning, ma'am. I am Lance LCD Expression, and my topic for today is the examples of an extemporaneous speech. So, the examples of extemporaneous speech is just like when you're explaining to your parents when you arrived at home after your curfew, answering a teacher's question in front of the class, and explaining to a younger for each member how to complete a specific task are all examples of speaking extemporaneously. And one of the examples of impromptu and extemporaneous is they are a little different, because for example, introducing yourself when you meet someone is impromptu speaking. Saying hello to an acquaintance you see at the grocery store, that's also impromptu speaking. While in extemporaneous, their examples are spoken without preparation. Well, it's just like impromptu, pero meron pa rin silang difference. And we have prepared a short clip for you in YouTube. So let's watch it together.
Good day, everyone. I stand before you to speak of optimism. Good day, everyone. I stand before you to speak of optimism and to discuss how to become one's own positive influencer. In today's world, influence has taken place in many aspects, especially in social media platforms wherein almost all of us are participative. It has created a way to form resilient connections, spread information, and strengthen communications. But how are we going to achieve all of this? These are my contentions on how to become one's own positive influencer. First, an influencer must be disciplined, as everything starts with this. He or she must be able to choose from what is right and what is wrong, and to be able to uplift the lives of others by applying his or her principles in real life situations. Second, an influencer must be able to be respectful and to be able to understand and to appreciate the value of diversity among people. Third, an influencer must be able to be positive in difficult situations because this will create a positive outlook in life for those of his or her followers. If we will be able to do these simple things, we might be facing a great progress in improving our community because positivity results in effectiveness and efficiency, not just in the structure of living, but also in the system of existence. That's all. Thank you, and may God be with you.
Okay, additional infos for the extemporaneous speech. Extemporaneous, which comes from Latin extempore, which means out of time, joined the English language sometime in the mid 17th century. Presidents, okay, let's say in the presidents of the Philippines also delivered an extemporaneous speech and mostly focuses on their excellency while they are in the position, in the position of president. And the first known use of extemporaneous was in like 1673.